And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report. Today, on the 23rd of February, 2025. And, if I'm going to be honest, I didn't get it right because I didn't think Niza 2 would still be in the top 5, but Captain America Brave New World comes in number 1 with another $28.2 million, dropping 68.3%. Obviously, our headliner. The Monkey debuts with $14.2 million. Paddington and Peru makes another $6.5 million. Dogman made another $5.9 million. And I just want to say the opposite. Zinaha. It's Niza 2. Niza 2 made $4.3 million for the top 5. All right, let's talk about it. All the people out there want to get on there. Oh, the MCU is dead. Oh, God, it's failure. Let's put it into context. It dropped 68. I mean, when the actuals come in, it may be a little above 68 or below 68. But either way, it dropped 68.3%, making only $28 million. Now, to put this into perspective, Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, I had double-checked that, dropped about 69%. So it's not the biggest drop-off the MCU has ever had. I do believe, though, it's the second biggest drop-off the MCU has ever had, I think. That would be something like Endgame or Infinity War, which opened so large that a drop-off was just huge. But still, look, as much as I will always be a defender of the MCU, I will always be a defender. I will always stand my ground and try to, in the debate against whether or not it's good or bad, we'll always debate it's overall good. In the debate of whether or not it's done or not, we'll always debate, no, it's not done. It's not ending. It's not dead or anything like that. But I will also be flat out honest and realistic. This is a terrible second drop-off number. This is a terrible number. Even if you were to use... Now, first off, it's not because, well, there's other films in there. The Monkey made $14.2 million. Paddington and Peru made... That doesn't mean jack shit. Technically speaking, they all probably stole a little bit of money from it, but that doesn't mean jack shit. Nothing was in theaters that would have been a direct competitor to this. Not one damn thing. But... yeah, that's a bad number. That's a bad number. Now, as we see the overall numbers right now, it currently stands at $289.4 million, give or take. This means right now that it has hit the production and marketing budgeted amount that it would have to hit. Which essentially, it's made the same amount of money that it's overall made on. But, unfortunately, the theater takes on average about a third of the cut. So right now, the film has actually only made about 200 and, if I do the math real quick on that, let's see here, 9, it's made about 100, if I'm thinking about going into a third here, a little over $180 million. So it's made about its production budget back right now. But still needs to make the extra $100 million to break even. Because it's made on $180 million with probably about $100 million in marketing. Again, I don't know what the marketing budget exactly is on the movie, but I'm going to go around 100. That seems about the right amount. And maybe I'm wrong. But you know what, Captain, why don't we let's see if we got that. Because I want to say it's about Captain America, Brave New World, marketing, budget. Do we have an actual number on that? 80. Yeah, I got that. There's 180. How much did it cost to make? Oh, okay. How much does it need to break even at the box office? Is the estimated amount. Poorly needs about. Okay, yes, they're saying about 400 plus million, which does go with what I thought, about 100 million. For its marketing budget. So that means then you add half of that, which would be the hold on one second. I just blanked on it because they take a third. So a third. Yeah, no, sorry. I knew what I was doing. Half of the 280 is a third. Is basically adding the extra third on. It needs to make about 420. That's what it needs to make is the long in the long run. Now, is it not going to hit that? Basically, is it going to fail to hit the 420 that's needed for it to break even? No, not necessarily. It's already at 289, 290, give or take, or 288, depending on what the actuals come in. So that means it's only about 140-ish away from breaking even. So it's only in its second week right now. It's not dead on arrival yet. In fact, it could very well still make its money back and make a profit. But that drop-off is not a good drop-off, particularly because it happened in a week where the only new release was The Monkey, of all things, which actually did very well for itself. You would think in a week, this would be, if it was going to have a really good legs, at least domestically, you would think it would be in the second week. That's what it would be, particularly because there was nothing to compete with it. This is not a good sign for this movie's legs. Now again, 140 might sound like a lot that it has to make. Actually, it's more like 130 if we're going to be honest. 130 still sounds like a lot, and it is still a lot. But for a movie like this, I don't think that's an impossibility. I don't think it's an automatic that it's just not going to make it. And I also don't think it's an automatic that will make it. Right now, though, it's well over halfway to making that, so I am still going to be on the side of it will make its money back. But that now begs a big question. Why? Why didn't it do better? Why did it have such an abysmal drop-off? Well, honestly, let's look to Ant-Man and the Lost Quantumania, which I do think this is a better movie than Ant-Man and the Lost Quantumania. I do think that. Because Ant-Man and the Lost Quantumania, on some level, I will defend, like I said, every MCU movie I think has benefit to it. It has some decent stuff in it. I even think Iron Man 2 and Thor 2 have good stuff in it. I do think they're the weaker parts of the MCU. My least favorite MCU movie to date is still Captain Marvel, because it's not even bad. It's just boring. She's not an interesting or even likable character in her own movie. She's not really struggling against the Force. Like, she's so powerful that she's actually not really struggling that much. So that's my least favorite movie in the MCU to date. But overall, this movie definitely falls into the lower half of the lower half. It's not the worst MCU movie. It's just, at best, it was okay. I think that's the best way. At best, it was okay. I enjoyed myself for what it was. But the problem is, we were just coming off Deadpool and Wolverine, one of the best MCU movies in recent years, possibly since Endgame. Or No Way Home, or whatever, depending on your sensibilities. So we had that. Then we had Agatha, which apparently had some low viewership numbers, but overall still did very well and was very well received. We had that, and then we get this, and it's just lackluster. It really was. It also had a lot of issues behind the scenes. Apparently, the reshoots must have helped a lot, because I can only imagine what the original script on this was. Oh man, what did the original version of this film look like? And when you get a film that just, even Marvel themselves, even Disney themselves, just weren't that enthusiastic about this film. They weren't. And there's good things in the film. There's actually a decent amount of good things in the film. I think all the acting's great, or good at least. And sometimes it's great. Like, Harrison Ford is great in the movie. Isaiah Bradley, I can never remember the actual actor's name, but he's great in the movie. Some of the action sequences, the fight over the Indian Ocean, the Red Hulk stuff, that's all really good. If we had modeled this a bit more over, say, just the tensions instead of this stupid ass plot by the leader, and oh my god, what a waste to bring Tim Blake Nelson back for this. What a waste. But there was something here. There was a good idea in here somewhere. This Manchurian Candidate type story, global tensions, the reveal of adamantium, and that could have been more the spark, and really sparking the global tensions more than anything else. And then maybe a subplot with the leader and turning him into Red Hulk. There was definitely a concept here that was good. It just failed to deliver fully on the concept. It delivered some of it. I'd say if out of 1 out of 10, if 0 out of 10, 0 did not deliver at all, and 10 is completely delivered. It's delivered like a 4 to a 5. It got about halfway. That's, I think, a best way to put it. Half of this movie's really good, and the other half is not. Unfortunately, it's all like spread out throughout the movie. Instead of being like the first half sucks, the second half's great. I can tell you right now, if the first half sucked and the second half was as good as the rest of the stuff in the movie probably would actually do better, because it's better to end strong than end weak, than start strong and end weak. Or sorry, it's better that you start weak and end strong than start strong and end weak. Because if you are delivering that experience near the end that people can go and just say, yeah, you can deliver the yeah experience, then at the end, then yeah, you're good to go. But so it's not a very good movie. Also, I do think people are still gun shy with the MCU, Marvel as a property right now. So I think that's part of it. Even today, by the way, people are still hesitant to just go back to the movies in general since COVID. Like, we still have not really recovered from, well, like, we've recovered pretty well, but we're still technically in a post-pandemic recovery era. So there's that as well. So you get a movie that the audience, even the studio wasn't all that like thrilled about. They're just like, okay, we made this. We're introducing adamantium. We're acknowledging some of the things that happened. Okay, let's keep going now. Now we can move forward. And that's where I think the hope lies here. One, this is the last film under the Chapek era of Disney. Daredevil technically is the last product from them, but they retooled Daredevil, and apparently they got something that's really good, which is good, thank God. But more to the point, this is the last film under the Chapek era of Disney, which means this is the last film that, or at least the last MCU film, where the mandate was just more, and not taking as much time to craft. So with things like Thunderbolts, which honestly most everyone seems to be a lot more excited for Thunderbolts. I know I am. Fantastic Four, Doomsday, all the upcoming films. I have a lot more faith in those than I did in this. And I was always looking forward to it. But even then, I was just like, okay, I feel like this has just been put off for too much long. So I am looking forward to those a lot more. And I think, now, is Thunderbolts going to maybe suffer from this? Look, I can't say it won't. Anytime you have a lackluster product come up, it's going to hurt the momentum for the next one. But ultimately, right now, this film has not bombed yet. It just hasn't. You have to get to the end of the movie's run before you can make that declaration. So ultimately, is this movie dead? No. Is this movie going to be making $1 billion? No. Will this movie make $600 million? Probably not. I will say at most this film could maybe hit $500 million. Honestly, if the film just hits 450, I think they'll be happy, because that would honestly that'd be a little bit of a profitable film. The film didn't lose money, and they can keep going. Now, the stink of it's going to linger for a little bit, but when Daredevil comes out next week, and we can all just be like, yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's awesome. Yes, back, excited, hooray. Thunderbolts comes out, hopefully it's as good as it looks right now, so great, wonderful. Fantastic Four with a little preview we got, hopefully it's going to be great. I think Marvel is going to recover. This is honestly just another speed bump. Because if we really look at Phase 5, let's start with really Ant-Man and the Wasp more than anything else. Because Phase 4 didn't start out the best. Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man. We had 4, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we had 4 items. And the problem is we were just coming out of the pandemic. And then Disney Plus did that whole stupid day and date release. Black Widow lost so much money. So much money. Because they did that. But it was all right received. Shang-Chi was great. Most people agree with that. Eternals has kind of slowly been forgiven over time, I think, by the fans. It was something we weren't really expecting. And then obviously Spider-Man came out. It was great. Doctor Strange came out. A little divisive among fans, but still made near $1 billion. People forget that Thor Love and Thunder, as much as it really wasn't liked by a lot of people, still made $750 million. Black Panther Wakanda Forever was a good film. Not as good as the other one, but what were you going to do? And it's still made $800 some odd million. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was the first real problem in Marvel's lineup. And I'm not even looking at the TV stuff. I'm looking at the movie stuff right now. But then you had Guardians of the Galaxy, which was freaking great. And then you had the Marvels, which honestly I think was not a bad movie. It wasn't great, but it was better. Do I think this is better than the Marvels? That's a good question. Me and my girlfriend were talking about ranking the Marvel films again at some point. Yeah, that's a really good question. I'd say those two are probably on par with each other. But because of the actors' strikes and the writers' strikes, you couldn't promote the film barely at all. You also were trying to bring in Disney Plus characters to the movie, so it was really difficult to kind of get people invested in these characters who they just assumed people knew. You were trying too hard to tie Disney Plus with the movies, and your product hurt because of that. It's one of the lowest grossing MCU films of all. In fact, the Marvels. Hold on, let's actually look that up real quick. The Marvels. Let's see here, the Marvels. What did that ultimately make? Because it is the lowest grossing MCU film of all time. Because even The Incredible Hulk made like 214, 214. Hold on, The Incredible. Incredible. Hulk. Hulk. Whoops. There's no O in Hulk. Hulk. Oh yeah, I mean 260. Oh yeah, no. The Marvels is the lowest grossing MCU film of all time, and it's really not even that bad of a film. So I mean, there's that. And then we had Deadpool and Wolverine, which broke all kinds of records. Now we got this. So they've definitely been kind of hit and miss. They've definitely been hiccuping in Phase 5, because that's what we're in right now. We're in Phase 5. Phase 4 ended with Wakanda Forever. But yeah, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Like I said, I'm going to defend the MCU while being a realist. It's not a great drop off. This is probably not going to make a lot of money, if it makes any, but it's not this unmitigated failure I think people are ultimately going to make it, because honestly, the studio was kind of already prepared, I think, for it to be a bit of a failure, to be a loss on some level. And, the reviews kind of showed it. Either way, we'll see in the long run, not long haul, how it goes, because it also is coming up against another week of no real competition. We got Last Breath, Mobile Suit Gundam, and No Address. Nothing that challenges it. So, yeah, in all fairness, it's not going to have any competition this week either. Now, then we get Mickey 17 the following week, Night of the Zoopocalypse in the Lost Lands. Is that the one with Dave Bautista? A sorceress travels to the Lost Lands in search of a magic plant that allows a person to transform into a werewolf. No, I don't believe that is the one with Dave Bautista, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think so. Cast and crew. Wait, hold on. Oh my God, this is the one with Dave Bautista and Mila Jovovich. Wait, that's the fucking plot? She's gonna take Mila Jovovich, she's gonna go all freaking underworld on us? Okay, screw it. I'm here for it. I'm down. It's probably gonna be a piece of crap. I don't care. That sounds awesome. So I guess I'll be seeing In the Lost Lands and Mickey 17 that week. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just, we'll see what Captain America can ultimately do in the long haul. Clearly, domestically, these legs are not good. This number's not good. All right, I spent all the time talking about that, which, let's be honest, was kind of going to be the main thing of the story of the video. So let's just cycle through the rest of this. The Monkey, which I had a good time with. It's not a horror movie, but it's a gruesome, dark comedy. But it made $14.2 million against a, roughly speaking, 10.5, between a 10 and 11 million dollar budget. The Monkey didn't even have that big of a marketing budget, so my guess is you're looking at only something that's made on like $30 million. So if it makes $45 million, it'll be fine. Then Paddington in Peru, Why did people go see The Monkey? Well, it was looking like a fun little dark comedy horror thing to whatever degree. The couple next to me didn't like it, but whatever. Paddington to Peru made another $6 million. It's unfortunate now. Unfortunately for it, the international numbers. It opened early internationally, so that's someone brought it up, and I checked, and yeah, this is why Paddington to Peru is not in the 2024. Sorry, the 2025 worldwide numbers because it opened in 2024 internationally. I hate when films do that. By the way, its domestic release is in 1 year, and then its international release is in a different year. Track it one way, either with a worldwide release when it's out in both territories, or with a domestic release. Don't do domestic first and then international, and say, well, open domestically in this year, so that's where it. Basically, just don't say, well, wherever it opens first. Like, well, then don't do that. I don't know. Or at least put Paddington in limited release or something like that. I don't know. I get it though. It's a British or British character, so it makes sense. But unfortunately, it's right now looking like it's going to be the lowest grossing of the Paddington series and going to lose a little bit of money. Like, for whatever reason, this one did not seem to attract people to it as much as the other two did. Now, the other two also didn't make a huge amount domestically. I already did that last week. But it's unfortunate this one just didn't attract people as much as the other three did. Because it is an adorable film. It's just all three of these films are charming and affable and just delightful. Yeah, so maybe the international will pick up. Maybe that will happen. But unfortunately, the domestic is not looking in its favor, although it did only drop 49.1%, because it is a very entertaining and wonderful movie. Dogman made another 5.9 million. It's profitable now, 104.9. So 104.9, the best in Dogman radio. Back from my radio disc. It's basically $105 million, which good for it. I mean, it's the longer I sit with it, the more I'm like, it was an okay film. It was an okay good film. I liked it for what it was. I wouldn't watch it again, but there's nothing wrong with it. You're not gonna have anything wrong showing your kid that. Then Ne Zha 2. Now, Ne Zha 2, apparently China was talking, apparently like numbers from China were saying it was already close to crossing $1 billion or crossed $1 billion. And you'll notice very much right now that if we're looking at the numbers internationally, it's only at $13.5 million. Now, I think this comes from I trust Box Office Mojo almost 99% of the time. Only once in a blue moon does something happen where I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like with Despicable Me or Kung Fu Panda going into like the somehow billions of dollars for whatever reason. Because clearly either someone was just doing a prank or someone's kid was like doing it, whoever the admin for the channel or the site is. Something went wrong. But they corrected the problem. That's the thing. So I don't, it's not like I don't trust the number. It's not me not trusting numbers. It's me like going, okay, when is this going to get corrected? But this is one of the scenarios where I trust them over the Chinese sources, because China, and I'm going to say this as I don't have no idea how many viewers I have from China who even watched this particular series. China has a little bit of an ego problem, and their censorship is insane. They oftentimes, I think, overinflate their numbers. Now, I can't prove that 100%, but saying that a film had already hit $1 billion in China when no film has actually done that, as far as I know. You know what? Hold on. Let me get the all-time up here, because I want to be sure before I say something I'm wrong about here when I say that. Worldwide, because let's look at something like Avatar, for example, which I think maybe did hit $1 billion in China. Highest grossing film of all time. Highest grossing film of all time. All right. Now, let's see here. All releases, original release. All right, in China. Okay, well, there's the domestic market. I want the international market. Okay, so all territories. China. How much did it make in China? Well, that's okay. That's not. I want the overall amount because there's got to be. Wait, what? Avatar. I'm sorry. What? Oh, Okay, I see what they're doing here. Okay, now I see what's going on here. It made 749 million in China. That's the highest grossing film of all time. So yeah, okay. Let's look at. Let's just. I'll use only the films that are in the. I'm not saying it couldn't have happened to the other ones. I'm using only the films that are in the $2 billion club, which is very, very few. Let's see here now. China performance area European. Let's see here. China, where are you? China made 175 gross. Made 632 in China. Okay, let's go with Way of Water. And again, this is not me trying to be a dick to China. This is just me kind of stating facts here, guys. These are the hard numbers. So Titanic. Did Titanic not get a Chinese release? Oh, there it is. Titanic, 153. Like, you can see it right here as plain as day. No film has ever made $1 billion in China. Like, even if I went down further, the further I go down, the less money is to be made here. So, let's see here. And as far as I know, we actually this did not get a Chinese release because China has an issue with mysticism. That's another thing. Yeah, they actually they don't do well with like They have like very like not well, I mean religious to some degree, but like cultural beliefs on like the depiction of mysticism. And yeah, it just goes no film as far as I can tell. And again, I'm not looking through every single film that has ever come out, so maybe I'm wrong here. But no film has ever made $1 billion in China, which means that the people who run this site, Box Office Mojo, when they hear that China is saying, "Oh, it already made $1 billion or close to $1 billion," they're gonna go, "Who's saying that? Let's just run that source real quick." So unfortunately, if China's saying their own movie and they're not, and the thing is, doesn't have to release their numbers if they don't want to. So yeah, that is doing it. It's not necessarily that's a lie, but you gotta have a grain of salt on that. And that being said, this thing has already made far more domestically than it made in the original made. So there's that. Hard Eyes made another 2.8 million. It stands currently at 28 million. It's like 18 or 25 million dollars. Either way, it's not doing great. Shaba 5.9. I actually heard this film as I was leaving the theater. I'm like, what is that film? I don't recognize that film. So yeah, Mufasa the Lion King are 2.5 million, almost at 700 million. So it's gonna close its run out pretty soon, but it's gonna close its run out basically making $700 million, which is more than I thought it'd make. The Unbreakable Boy, 2.5 million. What's this currently? And like, look, there's nothing wrong with these films, by the way. I have nothing wrong with these. Wonder was another film that was like this with Augie, the boy who like was disfigured. Yeah, it's one of those things where it just I have other things to be doing. I can't see every film. And while this would be I'm sure it's a very inspirational film. Those aren't good numbers. Okay, when Captain America has better numbers than you do, it dropped to 49% for Captain America 2. Captain America has better numbers than you do, here's the problem. But the audience seemed to like this more than Captain America. Yeah, the Unbreakable Boy. Like I don't know. Maybe it's because I've known people with autism. I have people on the spectrum in my family, Asperger's, all that, and so maybe it's because of that I'm a little sensitive to these subjects. But I don't know. I try not to be. Like I try to be as objective as possible with a topic. And if this would stop giving me the ad, thank you. So I'm just checking out these reviews real quick here. If this will just load, please. My God. All right, let's just check. Okay, the character is largely sanded down to a toothy smile and a nagging sense that his dad always feels close and far away at the same time. Like, even though I'm right here, he doesn't see himself. He might as well be describing the film itself. The movie is very sincere and good-hearted adaptation, but loses focus to try to include too many elements of real-life story. Frankie Boy could have had a benefit of a stronger infusion of Austin's vitality. Okay, I mean, like, no one's like, the people who don't like it aren't crucifying it, but yeah. And if I'm gonna be honest, again, this was just not gonna be one of the movies I caught. One of them days, 1.4 million. Hey, this one was quietly gone on to make $46 million. Well, not quietly, it made $46 million. Good for it. There's not much to say. It made its money back. There's not much else out right now in theaters to begin with. Love Hurts. Oof, you talk about a film I had such high hopes for and expectations, and it just was a entertaining mess. Like, I'll watch Captain America probably again at some point. Now, if you were to say, okay, you got to go out this week and watch one of these two films again, I will go watch Captain America: Brave New World again. Absolutely. I liked it enough that I would go see it again in the right context, unlike something like Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where I just went out and watched it again on my own. And I'm like, oh, I love this movie. But yeah, Love Hurts, man. This film is only made on $18 million, too. It couldn't even make that back. Oof. Then Becoming Led Zeppelin, The Complete Unknown. Now we're just into like the last little bits of films here. Complete Unknown, $105 million. Didn't make its money back, but again, it wasn't trying to. It's an Oscar-nominated film. Companion, a little over $600,000, 34.2. It didn't make its money back either, but it's not made on a lot. Flight Risk is around 40 some odd million, 41.7. All right, still didn't make its money back. Moana 2, I believe, is at $1.05 billion, so it's now, I think, the 46th highest grossing film of all time, so good for it. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, $483, making it the 10th highest grossing film of 2024, folks. Everything else, though, it's like the Oscar winners got a little bit, or Oscar nominees got a little bit more bump. They got a bump, is what they did. So next week, like I said, we don't have much. We got Last Breath, which is based off a real story. Mobile Suit Gundam. What was that? GQUX beginning. So, and No Address, which, what is this? This about homeless people struggling to survive harassing by gangs, African community, local authorities, blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to make light of it. I already read that. That film's probably, when they say wide, not going to be in the top 5, or at the very minimum, it's going to be the bottom of the top 5, because the top 5 this week was 4.4. But the question is, wide basically just means you're opening on more than, say, 500 screens or something like that. So I honestly don't see that being in the top 5. But Last Breath and Gundam, those are interesting. I do think both of those will be in the top 5, because anime, when it's released, anime movies tend to do well enough on their opening release. But I just don't see either of them actually making enough. Last Breath, I don't might be in the low double digits. But I'm still going to conservatively say Captain America: Brave New World, because I have a feeling it's going to drop more like 50-ish% next week, which would still put it in like the 14-15 million spot. The Gundam, though, Mobile Suit Gundam, though, is interesting, because Gundam is so old of a franchise, it's very popular, but it's a crapshoot with these animes sometimes. Broly, I remember Dragon Ball Super Broly opened like 13 million, but then I remember Overlord opening only like $2 or some odd million. Demon Slayer, I think, opened at one point where it was actually number 1. I'm going to go with my gut and say that it's going to be the third. It's going to be the third grossing movie of next week. So I'll still go Captain America. I'm still going to go, then I'm going to go Last Breath. Then I'll go Mobile Suit. Then I'll go The Monkey. And I'll say Paddington. That's going to be my prediction. I feel more or less confident about the Captain America one. Just because, again, it doesn't actually have any real competition. But we'll have to wait and see what that ultimately turns into. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, though. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see you.